What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, I'd like to give my review of the Disney Plus original movie, Godmothered. And, you know, sometimes when I ask somebody how a movie is doing, or what they thought of a movie, I say, what did you think of this movie? And their response is, meh. That's something that I usually take as a negative. Like, wow, that movie wasn't good. I better stay away from that movie. This movie has made me reconsider how I perceive the response when somebody says, meh. And that's because I believe that this movie is the definition of meh. But that's not to say it's bad. Like, I was mostly entertained watching it. Seriously, I was mostly entertained watching this movie. There was a few times that I laughed out loud. That it was pleasant. It was sweet. But it was meh. It was a meh movie. Like, it was Enchanted. Remember that movie Enchanted with Amy Adams? It was Enchanted, just not as nearly as good or entertaining. Same plot, more or less. You've got, instead of a princess from an animated world coming to the real world, you've got a fairy godmother coming in, and now she's or fairy godmother in training, coming in, and she's a fish out of water. And that's what this is. It's a fish out of water movie. And instead of having a young person that she's a fairy godmother to, it's old. It's Isla Fisher. So it's not really old. But, she's a fairy godmother to somebody who's already a grown-up. And, yeah, like I said, it was a very fish out of water movie, but it was very, like I said, it was very entertaining and very funny. But it was just rote. It's stuff that we've seen before, and we've seen it done better. And that's kind of my issue. What my issue was with this is that we've seen it before, we've seen it done better. This one happens to take place during Christmas time, so it's got that going for it. But I wouldn't even call this a Christmas movie. This is one of those movies that takes place during Christmas. That doesn't make it automatically a Christmas movie. What I will say about this that's really good is that it does have some good messages about, about acceptance and love and things of that nature, and it was a good message. It was a good message for people to hear, especially girls. You don't have to find your happiness in a guy. You don't have to have your happiness depend on a guy. You don't have to define yourself by a guy. And all that's good. But again, we've seen that same message before, and we've seen it done better. I would argue that Frozen, the first Frozen movie, was considerably, that message was told considerably better than this movie. So at the end of the day, it was funny, but it was meh. Jillian Bell is most of the laughs come from her as Eleanor, the fairy godmother, and most of the laughs come at to some degree her expense, being that fish out of water, like we've seen in Enchanted, like we've seen in Elf, like we've seen in lots of other fish out of water movies. Isla Fisher was very good in this, and when I was watching this with my wife, I was like, after Wedding Crashers, she had a couple years where she was in a lot of stuff, and then she kind of disappeared. And I don't think she ever really disappeared, but I just think she stopped doing a lot of high-profile stuff. She got married and just kind of did some stuff that kind of interested her, and didn't work quite as much. But for a couple years, Isla Fisher was really hot, and her career was on fire. And now we've seen, things have slowed down a little bit, but she can still bring it when she needs to, because she was very charismatic, had a lot of screen presence in this movie, and again, not as many laughs as what came from the Eleanor character, but there was still a lot of laughs that came from Isla Fisher's character. It sounds like a really glowing review, but again, it was just very it was just a common movie. It was just a common movie. Stuff that we've seen before, but seen better. So that's kind of my take on it. This gets a C, right? This movie I'm giving a solid C. A common grade for a common movie. But hey, that's just my take on this movie. To be fair, a 40-year-old dude, I'm not sure that I'm necessarily the target audience for this. So I'd be interested in seeing what other people thought of this movie, whether you liked it more than I did or less than I did. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it. I genuinely want to have a conversation about this one because I want to see if I'm kind of off base on this. So let me know in the comments below what you thought. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you so much for joining me here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.